Hello and good day, and welcome to the our office hours, the show where I have the exquisite pleasure of answering some questions from some of the listeners and viewers of the Arvid Pod. Today, I'm going to dive straight into it. There's no point tiptoeing around it. Just give me a second. I'm going to have something to drink. So first off today is Aisha Rahman. I hope I pronounced that somewhat correct. She's from Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, and she's a digital marketing specialist. And her worry is that AI tools are making part of her job irrelevant. And the first thing she starts off with, how do I stay relevant in a field where artificial intelligence is automating so much of what I do? And yeah, that is definitely something to be scared about. Artificial intelligence is, I think everyone around there are kind of starting to see what it does. But let's try to break it down to something simple and make it a little bit more understandable. Because obviously you have the processes that's artificial intelligence, its capacity to write stuff and produce stuff, and but more importantly, it's like having something that works all the time. And I mean with work, I mean like working, not works. It's everything can go out of order. But let's say for a lot of years, we have been responsible for gathering and assessing information, and we had some capacity problems because at some point you have to sleep, you have to do other stuff. The thing about artificial intelligence is it's just mathematics. It's always working. It's omnipresent. It's always there. It's just feeding off all kinds of data everywhere, and it makes it capable of producing almost everything. And obviously we can say, yeah, I love artificial intelligence, but I want it to help me cook. I want it to help me clean. I want to do the creative stuff. Um, on the other hand, I'm not going to scare anyone out of any type of business. What you have to do is to make sure that you view artificial intelligence as a helper, because it is. You need to look at it as at something that's capable of producing everything you want. Yeah, it's like the higher education, the more you know, the more capable your artificial intelligence assistant will be, because it can only, for you, it can only produce what you need and what you understand, because as soon as you don't understand the usage, you kind of drift off a cliff. The way I see it is that most people will have to deal with it in some way or another in the workplace. For you as a digital marketer, obviously it can produce text, it can produce video, it can produce it can give you subtitles. It can basically do everything, and it can design great plans and everything. But at some point someone has to prompt it, at least for now. And as long as you keep developing your skills, you know what's possible, and you can prompt it, because the answers you get from artificial intelligence is equal. So everyone gets the same answer. And if there's one thing you need to know about marketing, if everyone does the same, well, it's not going to work. So you have to believe in yourself, believe in your skills, and just, I don't know, just keep developing. And it seems like that's where I kind of end up every time I try to give advice. You need to keep developing. You cannot stop. You cannot say this is it. I'm satisfied. And there we go. Your next question was obviously everyone keeps talking about prompt engineering. Should I dive into that? Yes, you should. You should dive into prompt engineering because prompts is the future. This is like back in the 80s when the ad industry kind of exploded. Yeah, it came around like big time 50s, 60s, 70s, but 80s was the highlight. Everything happened there. However, the great ads usually was a consequence of a great description. So someone inside Coca-Cola sat down and spent a lot of time deciding the values, everything they wanted to reflect in their ads and how they were put out. And then they sat down with several different ad agencies and saw who matched that description the best. It's kind of prompt engineering is just that's the next level. It's just you telling your artificial intelligence assistants what they need to do to make your product special. So the answer is yes, you should go and get into prompt engineering. And finally, Aisha asks, how do I pitch myself as someone who adds value with artificial intelligence, not in competition with it? Well, the answer is in the last question. If you are better at prompting than your peers or your colleagues, you will be a more valuable asset than your peers and colleagues, because this is the tool for the future, at least for the foreseeable future. We do not know what's around the next corner, but at least for the foreseeable future, artificial intelligence is going to be quite an important day of our day-to-day life. And given that fact, yeah, you should pitch yourself as someone that adds value to the artificial intelligence. And the easiest way to do that is by being good at prompt engineering or prompting. And to be good at prompting, it requires that you are good at marketing. So to reverse engineer your question, keep studying and develop your marketing skills, see how they can be used in prompting, and then use that to pitch your skills up in the system. Cool. So next one. Luca Bianchi, I'm not sure, is 34 years old and from Milan in Italy. Hi, Luca. And is a strategy consultant. And he was recently promoted, but constantly doubts if he's good enough compared to his colleagues. And his first question is, I feel like I just got lucky and I'm waiting to be found out. How do I deal with imposter syndrome? Well, the first thing you can do is to listen to the podcast I did with Dr. Hatim Gupta. He wrote an exceptional book on imposter syndrome. But Luca, they chose you. They chose you. You are good enough. If you weren't good enough, they would have picked someone else. Now, in my experience, and obviously there are a lot of other people out there with different experience, but in my experience, having doubts is not necessarily a bad thing. I tend to have more faith in people that questions both truths and their abilities versus those who believes they have found the one answer that fixes everything. So having doubts is not something, is not a bad thing. And if you kind of put those two together, that you have some doubts, but they have chosen you, I think you're good. To deal with it, talk about it. Again, communication. Communication is never a bad thing. If you are afraid of coming up short, do your best always, be prepared always, and talk to your managers and have an open dialogue, because I'm 99% sure that you'll find out that you are more than enough and that you are doing a great job. So next question, and no, it's still from Luca. Everyone in my firm seems so confident. How do I build real confidence without faking it? Well, confidence has a tendency to be accompanied when you master stuff and you succeed. So there's several ways to do that. Obviously, the best way for you will be to make sure that you deliver what you're supposed to do and make sure that you get the feedback that confirms that you are doing what you're supposed to do and that you are succeeding. But you can find confidence in other areas as well. And in my experience is if you kind of if you have success on one arena, you can bring it over to other arenas and keep going. The easiest way to find success is literally to self-development, personal development. And personal development, you can obviously have the do the atomic habits and everything, but the easiest way is to train, to go to the gym, to work out. Now that might be running or paddle, or it doesn't really matter. But finding the discipline to execute and see the success you have when you work out, it is an easy way to feel how you master stuff. If you go to the gym 3 days a week for a couple of months, you will be much better off than when you started, and it's measurable. It is a measurable KPI. You can literally see how you develop on a weekly or at least monthly basis. So you can obviously, if you can, talk, communicate with your manager, make sure that you are delivering what you're supposed to do, and make sure that you kind of gain your confidence based on that. If you find that difficult and you want to start for yourself, start working out, start to train, start and because if you do that, if you go to the gym 3 times a week, you will have success. And you can show yourself that you are succeeding in the stuff you do, and you'll bring that confidence into other areas of your life. For example, the professional. Okay, and finally, is it possible to use imposter feelings as motivation, or should I try to silence them completely? Well, as I said, no, you shouldn't try to silence them completely, because having doubts is not the same as believing you can't do it. But obviously, now, if you should use it as a motivation, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend that, because it's not a good feeling waking up every day with a big lump in your belly and feeling that you're not adequate, that you're not good enough. So you should try to remove them, but remove them in a sense that you can still doubt the, that you have all the answers and that you want to keep developing. But if you don't look forward to go to work because you have this lump in your belly, it's not a good thing. So then you should try to get rid of it. So in short, as I said, it's always the same. Development and communication gets you a long way. And find other arenas that you master as well, because confidence creates confidence, and you'll be able to bring that into professional life. So the final question for today is from Emily Chan, and she's 28 years old. She's from Vancouver in Canada, and she's a user experience designer. And she has a dream of working in Europe, but doesn't know where to begin. So give me a second, I have to drink something again. Like when you keep talking like I do, 24/7, I was swearing, I'm sorry. It kind of dries out the mouth. How do I know if I'm ready for an international move, professionally and personally? That's a difficult question, and difficult because it's individual. But in general, if you know you have the competence needed to land a job you want and you want to go for it. Why not? Experience different countries and cultures is first of all an amazing experience, and it it's just going to add to your value as an employee. Do companies really hire talent from other countries, or is it just a LinkedIn hype? No, they do. They do. But there's a lot of things happening in that sphere, because it kind of brings us a little bit into the technology hype again, because obviously there is an argument to be made for hybrid working, where you or complete remote working as well. It depends on what you do. Obviously, there's a lot of dependency. I'm going to come back to a few of them, but um, there are the hybrid working and the remote work makes it easier for businesses to hire abroad, and it makes it, and when that's easier, it makes it more common, and when it makes it more common, they will establish routines and a culture for how to do it. So yes, there is easier today. It's easier today to get work in companies in other countries. So that's number one. And I'll still go for what I said, finding and exploring different cultures and have that experience in your life. It's worth it. You should definitely go for it. There's no good reason for you not to. Well, as I said, obviously, what I was going to say about the remote thing, but you're not really asking about that, so I'm going to keep this a little aside, but you can remember it. The challenge with remote work and hybrid work is, this is more as a general answer, is that you lose a lot of company learning, because there's a lot of silent learning going on in businesses when it comes to culture, how we do stuff. And that's the kind of learning that's not really written down anywhere. And there's no manuals, there's no courses on how to do that. And you lose out on that. And that's usually a big part of business culture. On the other hand, you weren't asking about that. You wanted to move. And the answer on that question is yes, do it. Go for it. It's easier now than it's ever been before. And if you want to experience a new culture, go. Yeah, enjoy. And she finally asked, what are cultural blind spots I should be aware of before working in a new market? Well, it depends where you go. If you come from Canada and you want to go to Europe, it's going to be a pretty smooth transaction. However, there are some differences, but these are differences that you'll see and learn. It's like if you come to Spain and you come to Malaga or Andalusia, the really warm parts of Spain, there's not a lot of work going to be done between 12 and 4 in the midday in the summer and springtime, because it's too warm. So it's just a culture that they do not work at that time, but they do, however, start working again in the evening, and they're going to have dinner at 11, and that's PM, 11 p.m. So these are differences. It's same if you come to the eastern part of Europe. I think it's better now, but a couple of years ago, language was a barrier, definitely, because teaching English in school wasn't that common. If you go to the Nordic countries, there will be no problem at all. It's like being back home. A little different, but almost the same. Europe and Canada is more alike than Canada and the United States, for example. So I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. If you go to France, I'd recommend that you learn French. If you go to Spain, I'd recommend you try to learn Spanish. If you go to Italy and so forth, because these are countries that take great pride in their heritage. And yeah, but that's up to you. You're probably going to work in an international company either way. So to sum it up, like really quick, in artificial intelligence, yes, is a challenge, but if you keep developing marketing skills, you'll be better at prompting and using it, and that's a major sale for you in your future career. That was for Aisha. For Luca, they know you're good. So keep doing what you're doing, but also keep developing and make sure that you find arenas around you where you can succeed and bring that success into your working life. And Emily, I hope you come to Europe. That would be amazing. Looking forward to see you if you come. So, everyone, that was today's office hours. I hope you have enjoyed the show. If you like us, please hit the follow button. If you don't, tell me why, or don't. Either way, have a great day and week. Thank you so much for listening.